Introducing new Moth Be Gone. Welcome back to WETT The Splash, the home of all your naughty little secrets.
We are live from the scene of the accident, and the death toll has climbed to a staggering rate.
Oh my gosh, my allergies have been
dude, I know.
just a week of miserable.
Yeah, dude.
Just a solid, like, I don't know what smell is anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, fuck COVID. Why aren't we worried about pollen?
Yeah, I've gotten to a
Like,
point where congestion will like completely like block out my nose,
Yeah.
then drain and empty the back of my throat, and then cause a sore throat.
Oh my God,
You know,
I-
like an endless cycle.
I do this thing where, like, I can breathe out of one nostril, and then I'll try
Yeah.
to go to bed, and
Yeah.
because I lay down, the other one fills up.
Yo,
And then now I can't breathe out of either, which is great.
back and forth,
Which is
dude.
great, because my sleep apnea mask only goes on my nose.
Yeah.
So, like, when my nose is that stuffy, it's just blowing hair into nothing. So then I just go back to not having that shit again. What is it about age that you can't, that allergies get worse? Like, is the pollen getting worse, or are we getting weaker?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like every year we say that our allergies. Oh man, dude, allergy season this year. Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Well,
Like,
I mean,
it's a nightmare right now.
Personally, like, I've never taken Claritin. I think
Yeah.
I've taken Benadryl maybe once or twice in my life.
Yeah,
Like, I've never been on allergy meds. Like, I
Oh,
just,
really?
Yeah, it just wasn't a thing for me. Like,
I grew up on Benadryl Tough.
I think it's because I had asthma, so I was already getting kind of the meds.
Attacked on all fronts. Oh,
the meds
I
from
see.
the inhaler, because like when
Yeah.
you have asthma, your lungs are always super inflamed and full of mucus. So the inhaler is a steroid. It's coming in there, it's breaking down the inflammation and pushing the mucus through.
Oh, sure.
So I think maybe when I was a kid, because of the inhaler, maybe I just didn't get affected like that.
Oh, maybe.
Because my shit was just clearer.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like a few years ago that I started getting this, like, my nose just doesn't
Yeah.
work for 2 months and shit.
I mean, maybe kids were more adaptive, you know, like as far as our
I mean, we got better healing powers and shit like that, but like,
are allergies like, do they trigger an immune response like everything else? I don't know if they do.
I feel like they
guess
should, right?
technically
Because things get like irritated and
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like technically maybe with the mucus and the snot and shit, that's technically an immune response, isn't it?
I believe so.
See, yeah, already fucking slurring over
Okay,
there. Dude.
I'm
I
trying
feel
to
you,
move
bro.
the fucking
Yeah,
microphone out of the way.
respect, dude. Yeah, you the man, dude.
But I'll tell you what, one thing that allergies do provide is like, it's like an internal alarm clock to know that golf season is back.
yeah. Yeah.
Does golf
dude.
have a season?
Yeah,
If it does, it's back, motherfuckers.
I think it's all year, isn't it?
I feel like they just had the Masters,
Hold on, let's see when.
and I don't know if the Masters. There's no like Super Bowl. All right. The Masters, I know, is like the biggest thing, right? But is it like the Super Bowl where like all season motherfuckers have been like playing golf,
That's a good question.
And,
I'll
like,
look that up in a second.
and then
too.
it comes down to like their scores, or is the Masters just like something you sign up for?
Yeah, you know.
You know, because there could only be so many spots. There's a lot of old white dudes playing golf. So
Oh,
like,
here we go. Yeah. Golf seasons differ drastically across the U.S., with 18 states having year-round play
Fuck.
due to warmer climates.
Oh yeah.
While other regions play from April to May, May / to October, November.
That makes sense.
that
Yeah,
fucking
because
weird.
imagine trying to be like in fucking Wisconsin and hitting that bitch on ice.
Yeah.
Or
Or
you-
where it's raining heavily, like in Seattle or
Oh
something.
yeah, I guess this would be a good place to go for golf, because I guess it is
California.
all year.
Yeah.
I just don't know if like a season, right? Because like I'm not a big fan of baseball. I know of baseball season. I don't watch basketball. I know basketball season, football
Yeah.
season, hockey season. Like golf is. It's so recreational. It's almost like you shouldn't call it a sport. Like, does it have, like, what is
Yeah,
the
that's a good
season?
question, yeah.
You
I don't
what
know,
I'm saying? 'Cause
man.
for every other sport, a season is everybody battling it out to see who's the best.
Yeah.
And then at the end,
Yeah.
there's this big game
Yep.
of the best versus the best. The finest that year
Hyped
could
up.
hold
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
But with golf, it's like, I don't fucking,
It's all year round.
It's like
It says
fucking
even here that-
half these motherfuckers are playing all year,
Yep.
and like
Yep.
the Masters is in like what, April? Like, what
This
the
says
fucking-
the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I imagine that's probably a big.
That's their
tournament or
NFL, I think,
something.
or that's their PGA, right?
Yeah, it says
MLB.
professional golf.
Yeah, so that's their thing, right?
Yeah.
So what's the PGA
that's,
Tour?
Again, year round.
Son of a bitch.
And it says, but there's significant changes coming in 2024.
Oh,
this
of course
year,
there are, yeah,
so.
because the Arabs are going to start getting into it. Start buying golf
man.
courses and shit for $500 million.
The changes, one of the changes include transition to a calendar year system
Okay,
and increased FedEx Cup champion prize money.
nice.
So I guess FedEx has their own fucking thing.
I mean, why
I
not?
wonder if it's like there's a certain amount of tournaments all year round, and then there is like a cutoff like for that year, maybe in December or something.
Yeah.
And whoever's like, you get tallied, right? You like
Yeah.
all your placements, kind of like racing. You go with heats, or like skating, you go with heats, I should
Yeah.
say. And your best performance amongst all of them equates to your final score. So
Yeah.
maybe like. It's not like, oh, Tiger Woods was the best player. Here's a trophy, buddy. It might be just he has bragging rights because he was on the top 5 of the end of the year or something.
Yeah, yeah, that shit always confuses me. Just like boxing, that confuses
Mm-hmm.
me. Like, they'll be like, this guy is 44-0, and like,
Yeah.
last time he fought, these guys won one each. And
Sure.
It's like, so shouldn't he be like
Sure.
44-1?
Yeah,
if he lost to this guy before, and then who were those 44 people? A lot of them, like, they literally like they'll just fight some dude underground, and for some reason that counts towards their record.
Yes.
But then other fights don't, even when they lose. Like, and then now you have two dudes that are like 51-0 fighting each other, and you're like, well, how? How did no? And then they're like, but like Floyd Mayweather, who apparently was like the best boxer of all time, was like what 50-0.
Yeah.
But like everybody else holds that same record, but he's the best. Like, I don't fucking understand. Like,
Yeah, I don't know really either.
like I remember there's this guy called the Bronze Bomber, like Deontay Wilder, and at one point I think he was like 45-0 with like I think it was like 39 knockouts. We talked about it on the show a long time ago. Like he knocked out like 90% of who he fought, and he was known as a shitty boxer.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like you got this guy. I remember, at the time I remember just being confused because I heard that Floyd was like 50-0.
Sure.
And then he's the greatest boxer of all time. And here's the guy who's 44-0, so seemingly only like 6 fights away from that same record.
Yeah.
Who's knocked out everything he stood up against.
Yeah.
And he's nowhere near that conversation.
Yeah, which is weird.
Like,
It makes you wonder why.
Yeah, and then there's just and then like these guys will hold like 15 belts,
Yeah.
right? And they'll
Yeah.
they'll try to unify the belts out of like 8 different organizations and shit like that. It's like this guy. It's like it's like you'll see the main fight card, and it'll be like the heavyweight division, right? And the first guy walks out, and he's got 3 fucking belts,
Yeah.
right? Like all different colors. They all look like WWE
Different
belts.
tournaments.
And then the challenger comes out, and he's got like 4 belts, and you're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like what charade are we playing? Like,
Yeah.
to where every fight becomes a super fight because of just bullshit titling and
Yeah.
awards you're giving these people to make them look bigger.
Yeah. It's because, I think that's a trait of a sport that was originally a lot smaller and then slowly grew over time. And
Yeah.
they're in more tournaments and more cups or whatever you want to call the
Yeah.
equivalent spawn.
Yeah.
And then, you just get the rewards from each one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's probably, I imagine now there's more cohesive conversation,
Yeah.
But it's probably still fragmented in such a way where everyone has their own awards, right? So, and then, like, how do you address that?
Yeah.
You just go to different tournaments and go, okay, you guys can't give out rewards anymore. You just give out,
Well, also, like-
something that qualifies you for a bigger one. Who
Yeah.
the fuck knows, right?
But also, like, from watching, like, WWE growing up, which sure, it's fake, but it's still an award system, whoever has the award, there's always a challenger waiting to take that shit. So when you have one dude with, like, 3 of them and one dude with, like, 4 of them from the same division, shouldn't there be, like, 7 fights going on right now? Why
Yeah.
are these 2 fighting?
yeah.
And then if this guy
It's
wins...
all, WWE is all a narrative.
No, I'm talking
right?
about boxing
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
WWE at least only has one fucking world heavyweight title.
Sure, okay.
They're not trying to present like there's 30 of them like boxing does. Like I'm saying, like when a boxer with 3 titles fights a box with 4, right? Shouldn't there be like 3 other dudes trying to fight the one guy
I
and
don't know.
4 other for the title?
would
And then
think.
if one of them wins and he becomes the universal or whatever they call it, there's a word for it when you have all of them united. Does that mean people are fighting you for individual ones or for all 7? Like, What the fuck, dude? Like, how do the awards get picked off at that point? Like,
Yeah.
you just retire and they
Do
all
they
go
get
back out?
picked off? You know,
They
Like,
must, right? 'Cause,
I don't
like,
know. Like
You were the champion of that division. There's people
Yeah.
still in that division.
yeah.
It's not like they closed it when you won.
But if it's like a separate division from a separate thing,
yeah.
wouldn't you? I guess like that would. It's the only thing I can think of they would show those extra belts is just for like, oh my god, look how many things he's won, you know. And
Yeah.
it's still over one belt, you know.
No, because sometimes it
Right.
is for all the belts.
What?
Yeah.
See, like I don't understand either.
That's where I get confused too. Yeah. Sometimes there's like 8 belts on the line.
I don't
dude.
fucking know.
Like, who
Boxing
the
doesn't make
fuck-
any fucking sense.
How many fights is this guy gonna
Yeah.
have next year to defend all these things?
A lot of I feel like just sports in general, like the systems are like from clearly a long while ago, and they've
Yeah.
only been embellished upon, not really improved.
Yeah.
you know.
I watched a boxing match the other night because I bet on it with my coworker,
Oh, cool.
and boxing can be most exciting and also most boring thing in the
Yeah.
fucking world.
Yeah.
Besides golf,
Or
like
baseball.
fucking baseball. Jesus Christ.
Baseball is great to play, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. The only reason why baseball is enjoyable to watch is because of the place that you're at.
Yeah,
you know,
the
that's it.
price of beer.
Yeah,
I guess. But,
yeah, and hot dogs.
But like it's like sometimes these guys they come in and like their backs are huge and they're all hunched forward with their arms in front of their
Massive
faces,
fucking
and then
Neanderthals, yeah.
like a cartoon of like somebody getting jumped. You're just seeing fists coming from all sorts of different angles in the air, landing on each other. Like they just open up
Yeah.
like a shell and then just start throwing bombs at each other, and they close back up and they turtle. This one, like, dude, so 12 rounds. I watched all 12 rounds. I found it on like TikTok, and like I think there was fighting for maybe a minute and a half of those 12 rounds. Like,
Oh, really?
Like it's like the guy who won, he would just turn around and throw his body into the other guy so the other guy can't like hit him, and then as soon as the other guy would hit him, he would like turn back around and like put his arm on his neck, and then they'd get wrapped up, and then the ref would do it, like undo them, right? And then as soon as they would approach each other again, he would do that again. He would turn around and put his back into the guy.
What the fuck?
The guy would try to touch him, and then he'd turn around again, put his arm on his neck, and wait for the judge to break him up, right?
What
the
the
ref to break him up. And like they would do that for like 2 rounds straight.
Why?
Because okay,
Stalling?
there's
Being a pussy?
for the reasons is like one, like every time he gets his arm on the guy's neck, he's putting a lot of weight on his body and he's weighing him down. It's like a wrestler thing. So it's like you get up on him so you can lean on him, and it's just making them weaker, because you're fighting for 12 rounds. You're not trying to win in the first one because you might lose you got to be able to survive for 12
Sure.
in case you don't land that miracle punch. So like,
Sure.
I think it's a lot of like getting your breath and stamina back without taking damage while trying to like just put a lot of weight on the other guy and make him tired. And then like 3 rounds of that, and then he would like come out and just work the guy like he was fucking nothing. It was crazy because he was just butt fucking the guy who was like the champion.
Yeah.
Like the guy who's the champion is literally like not defending himself, getting the shit kicked out of him, like for like a good solid 22 seconds, and then it goes back to the other guy just turtling him again. Like
What the fuck?
it was the weirdest, like saddest, like I said, there was like a minute and a half of fighting
Yeah.
because all of the rest
dumb.
of it was like this
That's dumb.
just turn his shoulder into him, lean in, and then he's gonna try to hit you, and when he does, you turn into him and put your arm on his neck.
It's
Like,
fucking boring.
yeah, I was like,
Fucking throw some punches.
I know. I
bitches.
texted my coworker. I was like, his neck is
You
gonna
guys-
smell like that guy's armpit for a month,
Jesus
bro.
Christ, guys! Like, just put on a spectacle, would you? You wouldn't
Well,
even have
sometimes-
a fucking job if it weren't
Yeah.
for the audience watching
Well,
you in the first place.
sometimes they fucking do, right? Like sometimes
Yeah.
you get these guys that are like so good with like their head moving and shit that some dude is literally throwing an array of punches and missing all of them like it's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
actually-
that's badass.
That
Yeah.
actually happens in boxing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there
yeah.
are dudes that can do that.
Yeah,
which-
Mayweather, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Mayweather was
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah, and like he's just every punch he's slipping, he's moving, and you're not touching him. And if you are touching him, he's probably moving in a way that it's not doing any damage to
Yeah.
him. and like breaking out the
There's
momentum. And like,
somewhere out there's a boxing fan having a fucking meltdown right now listening to this dude.
oh yeah, because I'm not a boxing fan.
I think I'm a hot take. I think boxing fans are pussies, dude.
Yeah, well,
Like,
this is a fucking golf commercial
dude,
anyway, so
like,
fuck them.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I just like I've only ever heard of boxing fans either gatekeep, be super fucking snobby, or like basically melt down, shut down people that don't agree with them. I've never met a boxing fan that wasn't just a fucking loser in that sense, you know?
No,
their whole identity is boxing. I'm like, bro, like, get the fuck out of here.
The only boxing fans I like are Mexican people. Because Mexican people have a great fucking time.
Well, yeah, it's probably different, you know?
Yeah, oh
it's
yeah,
about the
like,
party, you know?
There's definitely
Spectacle.
like elitist, and those are just like
I don't have time for it. Dude, I don't go.
I don't really have time for elitists on most things. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's just-
that's fair.
I really don't.
That's
I'm
fair
not
also.
having it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's a lot of like, I don't care if you're breathing, dude. I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
That
your
being-
life is insignificant to
that
me.
being said,
you
I,
know?
I still don't think golf is a sport. As much as that boxing match was stupid, I just don't think like it's just so.
Oh
It
my
seems so
God.
disorganized and like I
don't know
just-
enough about it.
I like is bowling a sport?
I think so. I think it is.
Right, I guess technically,
I think it
but
is. I think
even
there's
that,
leagues.
there's leagues and tournaments, and then they figure out who the fucking least fuckable is.
Do they?
at
I
the
don't.
end. You know what I'm
I don't know,
saying?
actually.
Yeah, like you get the picture
I
on the
have
wall.
no fucking idea.
They
if they
get
do.
put up on the 300 club.
Yeah.
The 300. Might as well weigh 300 with the amount of pussy
The
they're getting.
300 years until they get pushed.
Yeah, seriously, man. But like, so fuck, man. Even bowling seems to have it together more.
Fair.
But I mean,
Fair.
golf is. I mean, I think you know what for this year, for this season, which I guess is whenever we want it to be in golf, because who
Yeah.
cares? I'm gonna go out there at least once.
Okay.
Maybe 9 holes.
Fuck
Because
yeah, okay.
I don't got 3 days to try to finish this motherfucker.
Yeah, we'll be there for literally a couple of days.
Yeah, I think you know what? We'll reach out to the guys at Back Nine. We'll get some shirts on. We'll squeeze into them, and we'll get some holes going.
Oh my god! So I literally look up what's the biggest tournament in golf, and it gives me a list of top 10. It doesn't even.
Jesus
it can't
Christ,
even answer
dude!
the fucking
I mean,
question,
fucking A,
bro.
man. I think cricket's got
Like,
it together more
yeah.
than these people do.
The PGA Championship's on here, but I also see the Players Championship, the Tour Championship, the Memorial Tournament, the U.S. Open, the Ryder Cup,
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit.
the Masters,
Yeah,
like you talked about.
Not even number one, the Masters.
the British Open, apparently. You
Okay.
know? Like, yeah, dude.
I feel like tennis has even got to figure it out better than this.
Oh, you know what? I see another overview here. It says all those that I just listed and the month that they're associated with.
Jesus.
So maybe there's a tournament
Every month is a season.
month
Fucking why
in-
not?
Because this one says, what are the 5 PGA majors, which maybe is the equivalent of, you know, I don't fucking know. The Open Championship, which is in July. Actually, let's go back the other way around. Sorry. Masters Tournament in April. The PGA Championship in May. The U.S. Open in June. And the Open Championship in July. So maybe the Open Championship is like the thing.
I can see
you know?
that. I can see that. I always
Like-
thought it was the fucking Masters. I don't.
Well, the Masters was in April.
What did Billy Madison? What was he trying to go for? Wasn't he trying to go for the Masters? Because he was trying to get the jacket.
I don't fucking know.
I like this on Google in the autofill here.
Mm-hmm.
Why is golf classified as a sport? It says, according to Merriam-Webster, a sport is a contest or game in which people do certain physical activities according to a specific set of rules and compete against each other. Well, I guess that. Yeah, I mean, I guess golf is a sport, and esports are not because the word physical is in there.
Word.
Hell yeah,
Word.
Merriam-Webster.
Yeah, esports. That's so funny, dude. Let's do like a hard transition to esports
Oh,
here.
promo code thickness, all
All
lowercase,
lowercase.
10% off. What a golf commercial.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a good. Back Nine Problems has good shirts. Ignore
They
golf.
great apparel.
Great shirts. Great
You
apparel.
don't gotta love to be. You don't gotta be on the course.
You could use the divot fixer if you're bad at golf like we are.
Everybody needs a bap
You know?
rack.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
fuck
of
me,
course,
dude. If you don't have a
of
bap
course,
rack,
you
you're
know,
just
there's reasons to go
Yeah.
for Back Nine Problems. All right, folks.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about golf. Get the good clothes.
yeah.
okay?
No, fuck golf.
Yeah.
But like they get cool golf shirts. The thing about golf shirts is they're formal. It's a rich white man sport.
White man.
So it's so white that the uniform will get you into a nightclub, or into the president's house.
There
Like,
you go. The
geez.
White House. Damn.
Yeah.
That's the big ticket.
I bet
there.
you could fucking walk into the White House with a golf polo on, and everybody would be like, "Yeah, he's dressed nice."
And then this is the part of the show where we go real fast, and I say that this is Back Nine Problems T-shirts do not guarantee a ticket to White House, and they are not under jurisdiction of any kind of privileges.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways, thickness all lowercase 10% off.
10%.
Esports, dude. Yeah, I agree with you. There was a huge meltdown battle over esports of it being, it's a real sport.
No, it's an esport.
Like the physical, that's why it's called an
Yeah,
esport.
yeah.
Exactly. But the same people were having fucking meltdowns about that.
Yeah.
Not around no more, are they?
No.
Now that esports is not really all that popular like it used to be.
It's crazy.
Not around no more, is it?
It's crazy how big that got and then died.
Yeah.
League
and a couple other games.
Which is weird, and like I think the part that's weird to me is because the video game industry, compared to like the movie industry and the music industry, just topples them. It's like this giant colossus,
of course,
compared to them. Which is funny because we always associate like video gaming with children, but at this point, like with our generation, I think that's over. Right, like our generation will play video games until we're dead.
Yep.
And old people are playing video games, dude. They're playing like fucking Candy Crush and shit.
Yeah, there's still millions to be made in esports, right? But they're not like they're not like fucking.
Well, it's crazy.
It
Yeah.
used to be.
Well, it's so crazy that it's just like how big the video game industry is with how hard that esports flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I think it's because the wrong things. I think it was the bad marketing. Like, what if
I'm just
instead
gonna
of
say it? I think gamers have no fucking clue what they're doing when it comes to mass organization,
but
media
here's the thing.
coverage, and entertainment.
But here's the thing, bro. Like, all right, let's take League of Legends. Swap League of Legends for Call of Duty. How much better does it do? I think 1,000 times.
Really?
You get rappers, you get athletes, you get
Maybe.
way more of
Maybe.
You get way more
I
of
don't
the
think there's
current
a Call of
culture.
Duty scene at all, bro.
No, but what if they would have put into Call of Duty what they did League, where they started having like, team death matches where you actually have like a Cloud9 or whatever, and like they're going to big tournaments that are going to be funded.
Yeah.
Because Call of
there is
Duty,
a Call of Duty League. Sorry.
Call of Duty's everywhere. Like I went to Super Bowl City and Marshawn Lynch was playing Call of Duty the whole time.
It's so weird. It's like I feel like Call of Duty has a weird feeling across the board.
Well, because it's tied into hip hop culture.
Well, no,
it's black
just,
people video games.
I've met a lot of people who just don't give a flying fuck about Call of Duty. Like at most FPSs, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like Halo was the last era where everyone was obsessed with FPSs.
Yeah,
and then it kind of went away. Like, no one gives a fuck about the new Call of Duty. No one gives a fuck about the new Battlefields. No one gives a fuck about really.
No,
there is a group. Don't get me wrong.
I'd say Warzone's pretty fucking big.
The hype culture is not non-existent. It is silent comparatively. Like League and MOBAs, and when PUBG and Fortnite first came out, Fortnite's still active.
Fortnite's huge.
That was like global, whereas like Call of Duty was global, but it wasn't talked about.
It's also, it hasn't been new in 20 years.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's
it's like
my point.
we've been playing the same Call of Duty, but like, ask anybody who like is just a regular not video game person, and what do they play? Call of Duty, probably Madden.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those games where like anybody can play Call of Duty. Everybody's gonna be bad at it because the skill level is ridiculous, and they have no real way of separating people. But like, I just feel like Call of Duty, it's just one of those games. Like, I don't even play Call of Duty, but I respect of what it is.
Sure.
Like, it's just like every dude that like was cool, right? That was like listening to hip hop music and like wearing fucking what's that shit, North Face and stuff. That's like the only game they played was Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't play video games, but I do play Call of Duty. Or I got this console just to play Call of Duty. Or like, like I said, when I went to Super Bowl City, they had like Call of Duty just for no reason. For no reason at all, Thomas. There was just this little area where they had like 10 TVs and 10 Xboxes. And it was just Call of Duty for whoever there was a sign-up sheet.
Cool.
And you just got to play Call of Duty with football players.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was just like, it was so random because everything else in Super Bowl City was about football.
Yeah.
And then you just have like, well,
Oh, I know why.
they like Call of
Okay.
Duty, so they set up a station for them.
Yeah, here's the reason why I think Call of Duty never would have been able to do it, and I would argue that this game would be infinitely better to invest in. Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike has 5 times the amount of players and has been infinitely around longer and has had a longer competitive scene than Call of Duty ever had.
See, that's crazy
Yeah.
because I don't hear people
1
talk about
million
it.
current players.
I don't
Call of
hear
Duty
people
has
talk
max
about it.
100,000.
That's pretty crazy.
Mm.
But like, I never hear people talk about. I mean, I hear people talk about Counter Strike, but not as much as I hear the word Call of Duty get around.
Right.
I think it's also because Call of Duty has way more marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're gonna get your Call of Duty Mountain Dew, your Call of Duty Big
Oh, yeah.
Gulp with your Call of Duty
for
Snicker
sure.
bar, and like,
For sure.
you know, I think the other problem with Call of Duty is, you know, it's like there's 2 or 3 of them a year seemingly, and there's more than one company owning it who's producing it. Like, I think if Activision and Treyarch wouldn't have split up, which is right around the time Call of Duty got weird, World at War.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they wouldn't have split up, like it's interesting to think about what the projection would have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like Mark and I talking about the other day, like what it would be like if Eminem was a SoundCloud rapper, right? Because like nowadays these artists have like vaults of music that's recorded that's unreleased because it's so much easier to record it.
Yeah.
Where back when Eminem, you know, we're talking about the mid-early 90s, you know, you'd have to go to like a shack with some dude who has
Yeah,
like the worst
know a
quality.
guy,
Like
yeah.
if you like, you know, if you listen to his first album, technically it's Infinite, and like it's awful, dude. His voice is echoing the whole time. Like you could tell, like everything was just really cheaply, you know, like it's what you could do back then, you
Yeah.
know, and that was lucky to find that shack.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, where now you can just pull out your phone and like literally record an album. But we were talking about like, you know, what it would have been like, but then also where he would have stacked up against other white rappers because there wasn't any back then, and now he'd have to deal with like Logic and NF and other people like and like MGK and all that. But then at the same time, he was their influence. So would they even exist, and what would they be like without
Yeah.
his influence?
What would the be butterfly effect
what would
from that?
what
Yeah.
would the hip hop and rap community look like without his influence? Because a lot of people rejected him, but he brought in all the white fans, and they were the ones that were buying merch and concert tickets.
a
So,
lot of people rejected him and then like couldn't deny him.
well,
at
you
one
can't
point, you know.
because, like like I said, that demographic he was bringing were the ones that were buying albums, that were buying shirts, that were going to the concerts. They weren't, you know, necessarily just stealing them or dubbing them, or you know, like he brought a lot of money into the industry at like a crazy pace that a lot of people I think just weren't at the time. So it's like what would he be like today? Like, do you think he'd be big, or do you think he'd be nothing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Like,
That's
you
hard
know,
to
like
say.
what would even hip hop look like? You know, like would it be
It's so
the same?
saturated
or-
now. You never know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, would mainstream hip hop be a thing, or would it all just be, you know, just north, south, and east and west? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that still exists today.
Yeah.
But then there's the mainstream because of people like Dre and
Yep.
Eminem and 50 Cent, like who were putting shit out like on the radio. You know, that's hitting everywhere. You know, and like us, we had obviously all the Bay Area stuff, but then there was music that went all over the world. There
Yeah.
weren't people in 6th grade. There weren't people listening to Keek the Sneak in fucking Florida, right? They just weren't. He's from here, you know. Like they weren't listening to Mac Dre or you know. The only one that really got out was like E40,
Yeah.
you know. And he's like the one
Yeah.
one big name that became synonymous with like the Bay Area,
Yeah.
but was going all over the world.
Right.
A lot of them they just stayed here, right? So like it's really interesting. Like same thing like with Call of Duty though. Like if Treyarch and Activision hadn't split up, what would that have looked like for Call of Duty? But also, what would that have looked like for Battlefield? Right? Well,
Yeah.
you know, like or just first-person shooters in general. You know what I'm saying? Like when it came to team deathmatch, because Halo was good for its story, but Call of Duty, especially in the beginning, was known for its multiplayer. Right? Like that was, I think, in my opinion, as far as shooters multiplayer, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You know, because online, Halo was fun, like local playing multiplayer, right? Like fucking your friends up with like a plasma cannon. But Call of Duty was one of those you just keep loading in like cancer. You load into your team deathmatch, you play as soon as it's done.
We
you
had a
watch
lot
the timer.
different Halo experience for sure.
I didn't have an Xbox.
Yeah, Halo was. insanely massive when Halo 3, because that had online, you know? It
Yeah.
was, holy shit, dude. Like, I actually went to a couple small-time tournaments, and it was kind of, I would almost, smaller scale, because, you know, games wasn't widely accepted yet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was really popular, but it wasn't, like, a cultural across the board where multi-generations are all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, dude, it was almost like comparatively as hype as like League was when it was first really,
Yeah.
like, you know. And I remember Halo just kind of, I think what made it so popular as like a quote unquote esport before its time.
Yeah.
And what I think a lot of games why they may make better esports
They had
is
the MLG shit.
no, MLG is one thing for sure, but also the way that the games are made kind of lean further on cooperative play and
Yeah.
like team play.
Yeah.
Whereas Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, to an extent, you can kind of be a solo dolo, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, all you want.
And that style of play, back then, no one gave a fuck about, you know? Nowadays, actually, because of streamers, everyone loves to watch somebody who's really, really, really good at what game they're playing. You know, that's actually a huge selling point for streaming now.
Yeah.
Right? So, but back then,
Tits are skill.
it was team style play was what was way more valued and more important. You
Yeah.
know? And people flocked and got excited watching a team that was the underdog slowly win over a team,
Yeah.
right? You know, so I think Call of Duty probably could have been a really good option, you know, but I think in the landscape of what people were looking for back then, that's why I feel like I don't think Call of Duty would have done as well, you know, just because it's a different type of game.
Well, yeah.
It's faster paced, you know. It's kind of meant to be running and gunning as whatever you can and die, you know,
Yeah.
right? Whereas Halo was very much like you had to use tactics in order to even fucking be good at it.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
but then Halo came out with Nazi zombies,
yeah, exactly.
and Nazi zombies was I'd say similar to Halo. That was a cultural thing.
Oh,
like,
for
that was
sure.
big.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was talking about Nazi
Everyone
zombies.
almost only played Nazi zombies.
Yeah, and that's right when everything kind of just went for shitty for Halo. It was right after that.
Yep.
That was the breakup. And
Pretty
then it was
much.
gone. Right, you got the Modern Warfare, and then you got World War with the introduction of Nazi zombies. After that, Halo just becomes this, or not Halo, Call of Duty just becomes this weird. Like, did you get this one? This one's Treyarch. This one's Activision. This is just some third party company that somehow got the name.
Yeah.
This one's only coming to PlayStation. This one's only coming to Steam.
Yep.
This one, the
Starting to get
storyline,
fragmented.
the storyline's only 15 hours. It's like, that was the other thing that bummed me out about Call of Duty was that they got rid of the storyline.
Yep.
But now Halo's doing that. So
Yeah,
it's-
it was not owned by the same people anymore.
yeah, like I think like Halo 5, like their storyline I thought was fantastic, but it was short as fuck. And that's not what you want out of Halo. That's, I want a long story. Like
Involved, it's badass, makes you feel badass,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, like because I'm looking for another long story right now. Like I'm playing Fallout. I tried playing Yakuza. I didn't like it. I think I'll get back into it, but
It's a more of a not a cutesy game, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of mini games. It's a lot of like
that's not what I mind.
waste
It's-
your time kind of thing.
I don't like spending money on poor graphics anymore. I think that's my problem. I think it was because it's owned by Sega, so they do the Sega like he laughs and his head doesn't move.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I don't. I spent too much money. I just like the tech is there, bro.
Sure.
Like it's like it's like we're getting to the point where we're just remastering good games, and they're worth playing because they look better, right? Like we're both playing Fallout right now. It looks better.
Oh, yeah.
it looks better. I put on there's even in the settings because I'm playing on PlayStation. There is a higher frame rate or whatever.
Yeah.
What I forgot what they call it. Like there's a specific word for it, but it basically says higher quality, like makes it look nice again mode. And like right away, I click on that and it looks just that much better. And
Yeah.
like fucking even Red Dead, which was like the prettiest game in the world, I'm considering playing it again because they touched it up for PlayStation. It's like, oh, it's even prettier.
Yeah.
So when I play a game like Yakuza, I'm like, man, really? You guys just didn't want to? You didn't want
No.
to, huh? Like with
It's
a
a
game,
different style of demographics, not for us.
it's like their seventh game. It's like, come on, like
It's not what they go for.
like all I needed him to do was just animate that guy's head when he laughed, and I think I wouldn't have stopped playing. But the fact that I was looking at PS1 level animation there for a second, I was like, no,
Yeah.
I don't play PS1 games anymore. You know, I don't even play them when I have the opportunity to because you play them for like 10 minutes and you go, oh man, games really did suck back then, didn't they? Jesus, how did we deal with this? Like, you ever play Super Mario 64? When you let go of the analog stick, he takes like 2 or 3 more steps and slides. How the fuck did we get used to that?
Momentum.
Yeah.
It's like Crash Bandicoot too.
Yeah, dude, there was a Kirby game
Yeah.
on the Game Boy Advance that had no controls, and you just tilted your Game Boy.
Yep.
And I loved it.
Yep.
Today, there's no chance I'd
Yeah.
fucking throw
Oh,
my
yeah.
fucking Game Boy
Yeah.
across the room.
Well, yeah, a different time, dude.
Yeah.
It's a different time. You know.
Like Ghost of Tsushima, they did this thing when you play the flute sometimes, you have to tilt your controller to keep up with it, up and down to play the chords. And like that was fun. It was short.
Yes.
You didn't have to do it too much.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
wasn't-
like 15 seconds
wasn't-
maybe. Like,
You know, it's funny because the PS4 tried to do that a lot with the whole motion control thing. Like
Yeah.
Infamous was their launch thing, and you could like use it as like a spray. You'd hold the controller sideways and pretend it's a spray can and spray and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You know, like
They still do.
that. They still do that, but I think the industry learned that gamers don't give a flying fuck about that shit. You know?
No, it's
Like-
kind of it's almost more inconvenient than anything.
Yeah.
Like in Spider-Man, there was a brief scene, and they only make you do this once, but you are spray painting, and you have to hold your controller and shake it like a can. It was annoying.
Yeah,
It was just I didn't want to do it.
There doesn't.
It was fun for the Wii
Sure.
because it was everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Right. But when it's approached like it's a just a little fun feature, you know, it now no longer provides significance to
Yes.
that. You know, you're in a scenario where you could take that out of the game and the game would be the exact same.
Yeah,
You know,
I,
right?
I do have to say though, their new controller is tech.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
everyone's
like,
been saying that's
it's
perfect.
it's just so much different than the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like I don't even know what this word means. Haptic feedback. Like
Yeah.
you get like a sensation when you hit the buttons.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff,
It's
and, like-
resistance on the
Yeah.
analog and triggers. And
exactly.
Stuff.
So like there'll be times where the triggers actually become super pressure sensitive.
Yep.
And it turns on and off. It's not even
It's in
something you think
response
about.
to the game. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's like there was times I'll use Spider-Man again where you're trying to find the Prowler stashes and you have to hold down L2 and R2, but at certain pressures and then keep them at that pressures.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden your fucking R2 and L2 are actually responding by how far you're pushing down the button instead of just going straight down like a button does. And then as soon as you're done with that, it goes back down like a button does.
Yep.
Like, this is the fucking future.
Yeah, dude.
The goddamn controller has a speaker in it. So during Ghost of Tsushima, when you're doing a haiku, it's singing at you.
haiku?
It's singing at you.
Yeah, I
It's
think
beautiful.
PS4 had that too, right? Yeah, they had speakers in the controllers. Right?
Not like
I'm pretty
this
sure.
though. Not like this though. This
I'm
is,
pretty sure it did. Probably not as good
this is
quality.
being used, I think,
know?
a lot more.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
PS4, I think I would have remembered. This is like every game I play. It
Yeah,
seems like
no,
it's,
I'm pretty confident. Infamous PS4 had speakers.
you could
because
blow into it.
When I would play Shadow of Mordor and I would
Yeah.
do like have them come at me, my controller would make noise. You know.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't readily used. You know, like you
Yeah.
just said. Because I'm like 99% sure there's a speaker in PS4 controllers, but I also recall it not being the greatest quality speaker.
Yeah,
also,
like
you
this,
know?
like Spider-Man, you hear every time you shoot a web.
Cool.
You know, or when your phone rings.
Yeah, they're probably actively using it more. For
Oh,
sure.
way more. Yeah, because like when your phone rings, you hear it through the controller speaker.
That's sick.
you know,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
you'll hear people talking through the controller speaker to just for like motion awareness and shit
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like, and then the center button, the touchpad.
Mm-hmm.
They everybody uses it and for different things, which I like. For some, it's a touchpad. Some of it you're swiping. You know, some of it you're using it for its actual motion sensor. Like
Cool.
that controller is just, and it just feels good in your hands.
Yeah, yeah. They
feels
spent
good
a
in hands.
lot of time
Yeah.
like designing the PS5 as a whole. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Which is equally a bigger reason why it's a shame nobody could fucking get one for so long.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I saw the numbers too. Even though PS5 was unobtainable, they still sold like way more than double Xbox.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Xbox came out with a cheap version right away, and was more than readily available.
We talked about this last time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the PS5 just inevitably they won this generation.
It proved
sure.
it. It proved
Yeah.
it. I mean, I have both. I have the cheap version of both, so I can't even be like, well, he's got the nice PS5 and the cheap Xbox. No,
So nope.
I got the cheapest PS5
Yeah.
they fucking sell. I waited for it to come out.
Technically,
I ain't got no
market
disk drive,
competitors,
motherfucker.
you know?
I ain't got no disk drive on either of my consoles.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I got
Yeah.
less memory on the PS5 because I got an expansion on the Xbox. So, like, technically, my Xbox can play more games, but
Not that great.
no, it's just that they weren't upgraded. Like, PlayStation is just so clear in the graphics. But then I tried playing Yakuza, and I didn't really care for it. I think I will go back because it had a lot of potential to be really fun. I think just the opening was just too much for me with how poor it was, but it does, like, all the things I haven't unlocked did look pretty cool. So I was like, I'll go back to this, but for right now, this is not the game I want to play.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a good game, but it's not something you can chew on. For,
No.
you know, there's
And-
and when I say chew on, because there's somebody on there who's a Yakuza fan on the other side of this microphone's freaking the fuck out right now.
Well, yeah, they could eat penis.
Yeah, Yakuza games back in the day were different from the ones now. You know,
Yeah.
the ones now are filled with mini games, filled with things to do.
Yeah.
On top of the main story, and like the things to do, arguably is half the game for the main story, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so it's like it's a fun. There are things to chew on, but it's not like a feast like The Witcher or
Yeah.
fucking I don't know.
Well, see, I thought it was going to
insert
be
game.
at least a little bit more GTA like.
It's influenced clearly. You can tell.
Yeah,
maybe not
but-
influenced, but there's
Yeah,
elements, but
yeah.
it's not the main core.
No, as
thing.
far as like, you know, just even basic mechanics. I mean, it's just so poor. And then like, you know, I don't think you can steal cars. The thing is I wanted was like, and this is just me personally, I just played Ghost of Tsushima, a sword-based RPG. Now I want a gun.
Yeah.
This is just my next game. I want a gun,
yeah.
right? So
I can give you a recommendation.
I thought I'd love one.
I don't know if you ever played Sleeping Dogs before.
I have not.
Sleeping Dogs is literally GTA.
Okay.
Literally GTA, but a fuller story, and it's based in the Chinese mafia.
I'll have to check that out.
It's a good game. It's cheaper.
So then I decided to go for Death Stranding, the director's cut.
Okay.
Free
walking simulator.
free on the catalog.
Word.
Because I mean, it's interesting because it shows this bridge that I think we're coming to, where actors are going to start realizing how much more money and depth is in being a video game voiceover.
Yeah, the imagination is less limited.
Especially when they get their likeness. Like this has Norman Reedus is himself.
Yeah.
Matt Michelson is himself.
That's how they
like,
advertised
You know what I'm
it,
saying?
yeah.
So it's like, I kind of like the idea of this transition of getting really, really good stories with good actors.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause-
In a game that's actually fun to play.
Yeah. And that was the problem. I think.
Yeah.
I got the director's cut. The director's cut's like, look at all this shit we added, fights and guns and all this stuff. But like literally, it starts with like, all right, you're just like in the mountains,
Yep.
and I need you to pick up like
Nope.
a clipboard.
Yep. Nope.
And it's like, how do I even get over there? I don't know. Fucking, you don't have any powers or
Yeah.
nothing.
Dude.
And you're seemingly pretty heavy, and you're definitely very mortal.
I think
so.
I really need
Don't try to do
game
anything
studios
stupid.
to fucking understand that fetch quests are not fucking fun.
No,
They
they're filler.
aren't fun, guys.
filler
Stop
only.
making fetch quests. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it,
Yeah,
dude.
filler only, dude. It's fucking awful.
If you're gonna have a fetch quest, have an element to the fetch quest that makes it interesting. You know, I'll give you an example. Subnautica. This might be an unfair comparison because it's a different genre, but still, right? Subnautica is a game where a lot of it's fetch quests and exploration, right? And then building
Okay.
things. It's underwater. But the thing is, it's sea monsters, and you are losing time actively
All
to
right.
escape this fucking planet, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the fetch quests become less about going to get the thing and more about surviving and not freaking the fuck out when a thing comes out to get you. You know?
Okay.
That becomes the focus. The fetch quest becomes just the thing that is facilitating that scenario, right?
yeah.
When you don't have an element that is, you know, intriguing and it's literally just go get this thing because you need this thing, that's not fucking fun, dude. Like,
No.
if I have to wait to start having fun until I get said thing and then come back, I've wasted X amount of time just because I'm trying to have fun, you know?
Yeah, which
Like,
was the whole point of me getting this fucking video game.
yeah, dude. Like,
You know?
so yeah, it's Death Stranding. Like, I get it was they were trying to go for a thing. They were clearly trying to go cinematic. You know, like it was what's his bucket's fucking idea after Metal Gear Solid and all that shit, right? I can't remember.
Kariba, or something like that.
Kariba. Something I don't know.
It was a cool studio logo.
Yeah, I mean, granted, great storyteller. He does wild shit, but yeah, it was another game that was like for me, Last of Us, where there was more story than game, and I don't like that. You know, I love a good story in a game. Don't get me wrong. You know, but if it could just be a movie, I don't want to play your game. You know, like you know,
and
like,
I think I agree with that 100%. Like I do want a good story.
Yeah.
but like you know, like I think we all learned with The Order. Like there has to be a video game to play.
there has to be a game to be played.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, or just write this
bro.
as a series if you needed more time, like than a movie. You know, like this was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I thought about playing The Last of Us just because they were so big and they keep getting remastered over and over again. Like it's been the first one's been remastered twice. Like there was a remaster for 4 and a remaster for 5 again that just came out.
Yeah, I could be biased, and I apologize if you end up playing it and I'm completely wrong. However, I've had Last of Us described to me as Uncharted with less game.
That sucks.
It's literally what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like there are shooting scenes where you're dodging from cover to kill a couple of guys, right? But most of it is walking amongst a place and seeing a new biome, and it's really pretty. It's really cool. It's very cinematic. You know, don't get me wrong. You know, but then maybe a clicker is nearby, and you go, "Oh, I gotta hide," and then you gotta sneak your way through this thing. And then once you sneak your way through a building, you pop out on the other side. Oh, look at the things again. Oh, more cinematic. Ooh, you know. And then the next action happens, right?
Yeah.
It's just that the entire way through.
That sucks.
And the only thing, I'm going to say it, I don't give a fuck, you know. The only thing that carries Last of Us through is the story, right?
Well, yeah.
And again, like, then it's not really a game, you know, is it? Right? You know? A game that requires the story to be good is not really a game to me.
Well, yeah, because I feel like because I watched the show and I haven't played the game. Loved the show.
Oh, of course.
I thought it was fantastic.
Phenomenal, dude.
Every episode, I like the concept of The Last of Us being like the spore is creating zombies instead of like anything else. Because
some virus. Or
that
whatever.
was the most realistic zombie argument I've ever seen. Was that it came from mushrooms because mushrooms is everything. So like I totally get it. Mycelium is everywhere, but. So I love that idea, but it was almost like you made a Gears game without the Gears characters.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is perfect. You've made the spore zombies. Now let's start killing hordes. You know, like that's Gears. So they just took out the Gears part where they're like, there's the zombies, run. Hide, motherfucker. You do not have a giant suit of armor.
Most certainly where you're playing as Joel and you have a gun and you're popping motherfuckers.
Yeah.
There's like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like the entire game.
See,
you know?
that's why I'm really excited for Space Marines 2. I didn't play Space Marines. I don't know anything about Warhammer.
Me neither.
But have you seen the trailer?
The Space Marines, I should say.
Can we pause and watch the trailer?
Do we want to watch it on the show or do we want to pause?
Let's pause because
Right.
I feel like it's just weird for the people who
Yeah, fuck you guys. If you want to watch it yourself.
watch it and then come back to us.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bitch.
Fucking sick, dude.
Now that'll make you say the hard R in public. You just get so excited.
Really?
You just get so excited. You know,
That makes you say the hard R?
Yeah, you just slips out. You know.
Yes, yeah. Warhammer.
Dude, see that? Yeah, exactly.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
You fuckers.
War.
Lord.
God damn, dude. See, The Last of Us should have been that.
Yeah.
Right? Like those, you already have the creatures.
Yes.
Now add in the monsters.
But that would have ruined the storytelling, and the narrative would have been.
Oh, there would
different.
have been no story. It would have just been. It just would have been rape and murder for fucking.
Yeah, if you slob
80
on
hours
Last
of
of Us
gameplay.
dong right now and you're having a meltdown, just fucking suck my dong while you're at it.
I
dude.
mean, I would
Like,
I would
Jesus
try
Christ.
it. It's just that, like, all right. So here's the thing: the show, fantastic, right?
Of course, the story's
Fallout.
great. It's
Fallout.
not a fucking game, dude.
Fallout.
Yeah.
Show was fantastic. Game was fantastic, right? So that's what made me think maybe Last of Us deserves a chance because Like when I watched The Last of Us, it didn't make me want to play The Last of Us.
Yeah.
When I watched Fallout, it made me want to play The Last of Us. 'Cause I
Yeah.
was just like, damn, they got Fallout so dead on, like with so many things, with Codsworth and
Wait, it
the
made you want to play
Ghoul.
Fallout, or made you want to play Last of Us? What?
Made me want to play Last of Us
Oh,
because Fallout did so good as a show and held to the game so truly.
it makes you curious about Last.
I was
of
like,
Us.
okay,
I
so
see.
like, did they do the same justice with
Yeah.
Last of Us? And then also being the fact that Last of Us was literally the flagship for PS3, and Last of Us 2 was the flagship for 4, and Last of Us Remastered was damn near a flagship for 5.
Yeah.
You know, like it was a big deal to get the 5 to play Last of Us Remastered again. So like, it's like Sony has blown it.
Yeah.
You know, as hard as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was part of just like, all right, well maybe this game does deserve like a peak. But Space Marines, dude, that I think is like the closest thing
Yeah.
Sony's ever gonna have to fighting off Gears.
Yeah.
And Gears shot themselves in the foot with that last game pretty hard. So like,
yeah, there's a chance.
this was a good time.
There's a chance.
This is a good time to
Yeah,
slide
well,
in.
also Warhammer's been gaining popularity, you know, because tabletop games as a whole, since COVID, has been growing astronomically.
Yeah.
Like, it's slowed down, you know, but it is still growing,
Yeah.
right? Because there's just interest now.
Well,
right?
apparently Space Marine was a really big game too.
Yeah.
it was
a
a PC game.
I didn't follow it really,
Well,
so, but I knew about it.
I think we were too young.
Probably.
I think because it was a PC game, like I think before we had like PCs, you know, like
Makes
they're
sense.
like when you had like a family computer.
Yeah.
it wasn't gonna do that shit.
No,
like,
no, not at all.
I remember playing Unreal Tournament on the family
Oh, me
computer.
too. Yeah, yeah.
'Cause,
Oh,
yeah, like that
Good
was
game.
that
That was
was
a good
like the closest to anything like that.
Yeah, that had the same kind of I think it was the same voice announcer as Halo, I think.
Yeah,
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 at
yeah.
least,
I
at
remember
least
him.
similar.
Double
you know?
kill.
Yeah, but he would be
Triple kill.
He would be like,
Raid.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what,
If you got like 8 kills
which
at
game
once,
were you playing?
if you got like 8 kills at once, he'd yell
Yeah.
rape.
Yeah, I remember in Unreal Tournament. I don't want to
Yeah.
name it for a second. It'd be like godlike, you know,
Yeah.
or unfreaking believable,
Yeah.
you know,
Rape.
rape,
Yeah, dude.
mommy milkers.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
game.
no, it looks really good. Honestly,
Yeah, and it was supposed to
you
come out
know.
at the end of March too. So I'm wondering.
Maybe got delayed.
Yeah, and I don't mind. I don't mind. You know, it's getting to the point now where like I'd rather the game be delayed.
Yeah,
Just
then
delay it, dude.
released and then fixed
Yeah.
over the course of several
Yeah.
years,
I think
like
we-
how seems Bethesda does it
Yeah,
now.
I think the video
like-
game needs to go back under the covers and stop trying to tell people when
Yeah.
games are coming out.
Yeah.
Until they're really
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Because I think if you would have never told me it was coming out in March, I wouldn't have thought twice about it coming out in like
Yep.
September.
Yep.
I wouldn't have. It's the same thing with like what was it? Borderlands 3 got pushed back like a fucking year and a half. Like it just the Cyberpunk should have been pushed back more, but was getting pushed back too much. It's like they need to stop projecting so hard
Yeah.
when they're going to be coming out. I
Yeah.
know it's an investor's thing, but
Yep.
I feel like if you look at projections, that must hurt the investment,
Probably.
right?
probably.
Like, or do you think it does the
It's a
opposite?
quota. I think it's a quota.
Or do you think it does the opposite, where they do it on purpose, knowing the game's not going to come out, so people, the gamers, are going to think, oh, well, then they pushed it back to fix things, so this is going to be a really good game. Because look how many times they've had to push it back. Like by now, there's going to be no flaws with it. It's going to be
Yeah.
like getting a game in 2002, where
Right.
when it's in the box, it's in the box. It's never being updated.
Yeah. I don't know. I think two things have happened, and I think I believe I've vaguely
We've
maybe not
broken it
vaguely.
down before.
Yeah, I just think two things. Game companies, studios are able to get away, I think, more nowadays with releasing an uncompleted game.
Yeah.
Because that's just, I fucking hate to say it, but that is more common nowadays than it ever was, even like 5-10 years
Oh,
ago.
100%.
You know, it's bad, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen a game in a long time come out that didn't need a day one patch and then a month later patch.
Every day,
you know,
every game.
like
Every
almost
game.
every game, you know.
Yeah.
And that you could argue that's due to complexity and yada yada yada. I think it's because of what you were just trying to almost highlight. Words, fuck. That games are just rushing things out because of investors or publishing. You know, they're
Yeah.
trying to hit a quota or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
they can move on to the next thing. And I hate to say it, dude, but I really think games have gotten too corporate. I think AAA studios have gotten too big to where the magic and passion that we found in a lot of old games nowadays is just not there.
Yeah.
It's gotten way too corporate, and whether the pride of developers and these big companies want to say, oh, we have the same amount of passions, they have way more obstacles because of the corporate landscape,
There's
infinitely more.
There's only one game that's going to be able to prove it all to us, really. And that's going to be GTA 6.
Yeah.
$1 billion budget.
Yeah.
But
like Rockstar's such an
so
outlier,
much
dude.
controversy
They're such an outlier.
and like
Yeah.
leaks and all sorts of shit that's been around this game.
Yeah.
But I feel like Rockstar won't release until it's done.
I would hope so.
Yeah. And if they did with a $1 billion budget, they release it before it's done.
Then I don't know.
Oh man,
then
I wonder what
that's
that
the
would
final
do.
stake in the ground. Dude.
Yeah.
I think that would be a final yep, dude.
Because we've been waiting long enough, bro. I mean, we're talking about like they've stretched this to the point where we're looking at potentially a third remaster of 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because at this point I think they're trying to line it up with the Pro. Like just like the new Spider-Man, they're gonna try to line up the next Spider-Man game for the PS6 in 2028. I think GTA at this point they're just waiting to come out with the Pro.
Yeah,
in
maybe
2026.
waiting on tech or something.
Yeah, because I think it's just gonna be one of those like, they're gonna have this big contract.
Yeah.
I
don't know what recipe they got going on over there in Rockstar, but they are the only really, really, really big AAA company.
Yeah, that
other
has
than
it together.
Nintendo, that I feel like is keeping it under wraps and is not proving the same stereotype as every other fucking company out there now, dude.
Well, yeah, like Ubisoft, they flopped with that last Assassin's Creed game.
Activision's not doing great no more.
No. Blizzard.
Fucking Blizzard's been tanking for a long time.
Yeah.
And they have kind of ups, ebb and flow. They get a little bit better, but then they fucking tank again, and they get a little bit better, and then they really tank again.
Avalanche Studios is pretty much unheard of.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they worked on that Harry Potter project,
343,
which wasn't even theirs. Harry Potter belonged to fucking Portkey. They just got to use Avalanche.
Right,
shit.
exactly.
Yeah, they're all gone. Like,
Bethesda is no longer the same company it used to be.
No.
Todd Howard and all the people that made those games really good back then are either climbed up the ladder and no longer touch development.
Yeah.
And only have meetings all day, or they just don't work for the company anymore.
Yeah.
Dude, the landscape of AAA games is so much more different than it was when we were kids, and I just don't think they're ever going to capture the same magic consistently as we had when we had the older games. Pretty much everything, like Bethesda, for example, in my opinion, Skyrim was good, but I think they started to waver around the Oblivion era. Skyrim was like their first big mainstream game.
Yeah.
But if you played enough of all the other Elder Scrolls game, you can see the things that they were slowly losing from Morrowind up.
Yeah.
Like the fully developed lore, things that interconnected really well together.
Like it seemed kind of like with Fallout. I love Fallout 4, and I literally have no interest in playing the other ones.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like it's the same game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different perspective, and I think there's a lot of people who worship New Vegas and Fallout 3.
Yeah, and I
the
heard
two,
76 was big too, but
76 was big, but flopped really hard
literally,
when it first came out.
Like it's just not interested. Like I'm almost closer to playing an old remastered Assassin's Creed game than I am to anything else. Because at this point, man, I need another good story The Witcher or Valhalla,
right?
Or Skyrim, but it has to have action.
Yeah,
it needs
you need to be engaged,
and the world needs to be full.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about playing Red Dead again because technically, when I played Red Dead, I hopped in around chapter 3. And it was Bubbles' account. So I didn't get to shape my Arthur Morgan to be a good or a bad person. In fact, by the time the game ended, all the NPCs were stuck in the middle. So you'd ask about Arthur, and they'd be like, yeah, he was a terrifying son of a bitch, and he was really mean. But also, sometimes, he'd bring Fred for the family. It's all right, well, what answer was that? Was he a piece of shit or not?
Yeah. You were too neutral.
The game doesn't even know.
Yeah.
I want to go full evil Arthur.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just butt fucking and stealing, lighting shit on fire.
Just to see. Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to load up. I'm going to get on the train to Saint Denis. I'm going to find the first woman. and I'm just gonna tie her up and drag her all the way up to the crocodiles and feed her to one live.
Fucking good. Hell yeah.
That's gonna be my thing.
Holy
And
shit.
just-
Yeah, I mean, I miss doing that in games too. Like Mass Effect had that, where you can be a Paragon or a Renegade, right?
Yeah,
Like more evil or
Infamous.
good, right? Infamous had
Yep,
that,
yep.
I loved, because that gave replay value in the sense that there was significant, and there's enough significant content that was different from one
Yeah.
or the other.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Like Mass Effect, there was a lot of things. If you were good or bad, it would sway a lot of scenarios. You might not even get access to certain content.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, I feel like if there's like an evil good thing, there's not a whole lot of difference to the game.
There's too much
you know?
forgiveness. Yeah, it's like
I don't, or just if there's no real influence to how the game
Yeah.
plays out.
Well, Harry Potter, right? You could go evil or good that whole game, and it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
The last decision you make is the only one matters, and it only very barely alters the storyline to where no matter what, the story ends the same way.
Yeah.
Whether you were good or evil.
Yeah.
It's like 2 or 3 minutes of gameplay that'll be different.
Yeah, and then like
But like Valhalla. So,
Yeah.
Valhalla.
Sure.
That hid your choices from you. And you found out later.
Oh, cool.
So I thought that was interesting. There'd be times in the game where, like, you'd have to meet, like, an oracle or something, and she'd be like, remember that side mission where you told that guy to fuck off? Well, now you're not getting the bow and arrow. And you're
Yeah.
like, son of a bitch. I
Yeah.
never even thought about that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I just, we were at time already, but just long story short, I just don't think AAA games have it like they used to. They're too
No.
focused on how they can make bucks and how can they extend the money-making capability of their games.
Well, exactly,
Like,
exactly.
they're like making a game and then actively thinking about the DLC while making the core game.
Or
you
they're
know?
online, and they're just
Right.
like, fuck everything
Yeah,
else.
dude.
Like, how much are we going to do
How
on
can we
online?
add loot boxes or ways that they can spend more
Double
money?
XP.
How can we influence the UI to be more likely
For-
to spend said money?
Yeah, for
and-
$30, we'll give you
Yeah,
double
dude.
XP for a whole day, 24
Yeah, dude.
hours.
And then when you really do the math, there's really not much.
There's no point.
Yeah, dude.
Well, we talked about the microtransaction episode. You're really just paying to play the game less.
yeah.
Because you're paying to get closer to the point where it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Which is when you're at 100%
Yeah.
everything and it's
they'll
not
use
challenging.
tactics to make it seem like you're getting a good deal. You
Oh,
know? They're like,
100
oh man, like this is a
500% value.
Yeah. Oh, only today we can get you a 10% off, and then it's every day that you
Every
can get
day.
that. You know,
Yeah, like the websites
yeah.
that's like, buy this.
Yeah.
This is the last one stock.
Yeah,
You
buy
have
now
7
while there's
minutes.
still more.
It's always there.
Or like, wow, there's a limited time offer, but they never say how long that
Yeah.
limited time offer
Yeah, it's like
is.
it's like
and-
furniture stores that
you
are always
know.
going out of business.
Yeah, and then whenever you want to like quit get rid of a gotcha game or something, you have
Yeah.
to go through multiple series of "Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?" You
It's
know,
a bad
like,
idea. It's a bad idea. We're
dude,
gonna tell you.
Games aren't the same no more.
Nope.
They really aren't.
Nope. See you next week.
Support your
folks.
independent artists and independent
Play
studios.
Power World. That's all you need.
Yes, fuck Nintendo, bro.